Thank you. I think we are done. PS, let me take this opportunity as you appear before this committee or indeed any other committee of parliament to assist in deliberation before it that you are protected under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, which grants members of parliament immunity against prosecution for what they say while in this house. This means that information you give to this committee cannot be used against you outside parliament or indeed in any courts of law for as long as it's factual. However, should you deliberately or willingly mislead or misinform the committee, the same law can be used against you in the courts of law. I have no doubt in my mind, however, that that won't be necessary, as you won't choose to willfully mislead or misinform this committee. With that said, and that immunity conferred before you, PS, you can proceed and make your submission. You start with paragraph 30, 31, and paragraph 30, 31, and then 32. So as guided, you can proceed and make your submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'll begin with paragraph 30. The Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock is mandated to facilitate the development and management of a sustainable and viable fisheries and livestock sector to ensure national and household food security and enhance the sector's contribution to gross domestic product. Budget funding and expenditure. In the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, a total provision of 928,775,994 kwacha was made to cater for the operations of the ministry, against which amounts totaling 813,062,464 kwacha were released, resulting in an underfunding of 115,713,530 kwacha. Although the ministry was underfunded as at 31st December 2022, the ministry had spent amounts totaling 751,484,76 kwacha only. We respond accordingly and state that the audit observation is well noted and appreciated.
Thank you, PS. Let me just give you further guidance as you proceed. Looking at the volume of your submission, you read the query and then go to your management response, as it were.
Okay.
So you can proceed.
Right. Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. The ministry was not fully funded by the Treasury due to a constrained fiscal space. Hence, the reported underfunding of 115,713,530 kwacha. As regards the unutilized amount of 61,578,388 kwacha, the Treasury released amounts of 72,990,696 and 6,620,356 kwacha 41 ngwe on 8th December and 12th December 2022 respectively, following the approval of a supplementary provision warrant towards the end of the fourth quarter of the year under review. The funds were committed to procurements, but regrettably were not paid out as the vendors had not delivered the items before the end of the year. This resulted in the unutilized sum of 61,578,388 kwacha. The corrective action that has been taken by management, honorable members, we wish to report that Treasury Authority to retain and carry over a sum of 43,153,248 kwacha, 89 ingwe, out of the unutilized 61,578,388 kwacha from the year 2022 to the financial year ending 31st December 2023 was granted by Treasury, whilst an application for authority to retain the balance of 18,425,139 kwacha, 11 ingwe, was not approved by Treasury, citing a tight fiscal space. However, the carryover funds are yet to be disbursed by Treasury, despite the Ministry submitting a supplementary warrant provision to facilitate the release and utilization of the funds. We have to this effect submitted documentary evidence under Appendix 1, and Appendix 1A is authority to retain funds as was granted, and the response from the Secretary to Treasury regarding the disapproval of the amount of 18,425,139 kwacha, 11 ingwe. These are available for audit verification and are presented as stated earlier under Appendix 1A and 1B. May I proceed, honorable members?
You can proceed.
Thank you. The second one is failure to procure bulls for artificial insemination. The cause for this finding was that the Ministry Procurement Committee cancelled the tender when it became evident that all the bidders who participated in the tender had quoted the same price, which was also above the prevailing market price, as indicated by the price reasonableness analysis. The committee may wish to note that management applied the funds on training of officers drawn from across the country on artificial insemination, which was in the same program, the program being livestock production and productivity, in line with the objectives of the output-based budgeting principles. The trainees, or put in another way, the artificial insemination technicians, have since been providing artificial insemination services in various parts of the country. In terms of further corrective action, the committee may wish to note that the ministry has since provided for a sum of 6 million in the 2024 budget under the livestock production and productivity program to be applied on stocking and restocking, which includes the procurement of the said breeding bulls, amongst others. We have submitted documentary evidence to this effect under Appendix 2, which documentary evidence includes authority to conduct the workshop and an extract of the approved 2024 budget for the livestock development, and these are available for verification. Management of retirees, irregular payment of allowances to retirees. There was a delay in transferring the remaining 8 retirees from the ministerial payroll to the separatees payroll, resulting in the irregular payment of the cited allowances. management will recover the sum of 105,707 kwacha, 77 ngwe, from the 3 retirees whose terminal benefits are yet to be paid, while the Public Service Pension Fund will recover the remaining 83,542 kwacha, 43 ngwe, from the 5 retirees' pension whose terminal benefits had already been paid at the time of the review or audit. The committee may further wish to note that the balance of 6,465 kwacha, 60 ngwe, is not subject to recovery, as the officer is still serving, is under the age of retirement. In response, we've also further attached documentary evidence which is available for verification at Appendix 3 in terms of terminal computations, engagement letters that we've had with PF, and a copy of the serving officer's payslip, and these are available for verification. Honorable Chairperson, I seek your further guidance. Do I proceed to Program 32, sir?
Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you very much.
This is to you.
Under Program 32, this is the Enhanced Smallholder Livestock Program. Okay. Disease control sustainably improved. Under this component, there was a finding of failure to vaccinate animals. The committee may wish to note that in 2022, the ministry had proposed a shift in the approach for control of CBPP from the conventional strategy that was being taken, which involved vaccinations, and they decided to move to test and slaughter. This is because vaccination alone is not effective in the eradication of the disease. The proposed change in strategy is in line with international best practice. In this regard, Zambia's CBPP control strategy was peer-reviewed and approved by the World Organization for Animal Health. The change would have pushed back the disease to its traditional areas so as to limit the vaccinations to the high-risk zone. Prior to the year 2022, such technical decisions were made within the ministry. Following extensive consultation and the socio-economic ramifications arising from the proposed approach, there was need to engage Cabinet Office to obtain approval for the change in strategy. The ministry then engaged Cabinet through a CAB memo dated 21st April 2022 regarding the change in strategy to focus on test and slaughter. The guidance that was received from Cabinet was to continue vaccinations and use the test and slaughter approach on a voluntary basis. Regrettably, honorable members, the work plan for the vaccination project was not updated to reflect this change in strategy, hence the reported CBPP under vaccinations. As regards the cited variance in vaccinations for East Coast fever, ECF, this is mainly attributed to the failure by farmers to present calves for ECF immunization. This immunization is provided by government at a subsidized cost and farmers have to pay a fee to acquire the vaccinations. Notwithstanding the subsidized fee, some farmers were unable to avail calves at vaccination points due to the following factors, among them monetary constraints, animals having moved to inaccessible areas, low appreciation of disease control programs, and and negative beliefs towards vaccinations. The corrective actions that have been undertaken in 2023, the CBPP vaccinations are now being undertaken in Western, Northwestern, Northern, and Muchinga provinces, following the guidance from Cabinet that vaccinations should continue and use test and slaughter on voluntary basis. To date, the following vaccination figures have been achieved, and these are presented in the table, and they are up to 30th September 2023. We have documentary evidence to this finding in terms of it's under Appendix 4, and it's a copy of the CAB memo dated 21st April 2023. The response or conveyance from Cabinet Office dated 25th April 2023, an extract of the ISLIP work plan, and eradication certificates for verification. And also we have Zambia's CBPP control and eradication strategy. Second finding under this program is failure to meet the immunization target of 9,557 calves. The cause for this failure is the cited variance in vaccinations for East Coast fever is mainly attributed to the failure by farmers to present calves for East Coast fever immunization. As stated earlier, this immunization is provided by government at a subsidized cost, and farmers have to pay a fee to acquire the vaccination. Notwithstanding the subsidized fee, some farmers were unable to avail the calves, as again stated earlier, for vaccination due to the factors such as monetary constraints, animals having moved to inaccessible areas, low appreciation of disease control programs, and negative beliefs towards vaccinations. We have undertaken the following corrective action. We've initiated increased sensitization and awareness of the program among the farmers to improve their willingness to embrace the program. Immunization of ECF is undertaken for calves between 6 months to 2 years old, after which they developed lifelong immunity. The committee may further wish to know that the cited calves have since outgrown the immunization program, and therefore the program is targeting a new set of calves. The immunization program continues to be demand-driven, and the leftover vaccines are brought back to the lab and are included in the new stock of vaccines to be rolled out in the next immunization program. The committee would also further wish to note that in 2023, we've embarked on the immunization program again. It is ongoing, and up to September 2023, the immunizations that had been undertaken are shown in Table 3. Failure to construct water points was another finding. This is under the livestock production system sustainably improved. The cause for this, Honorable Chairman and the committee may wish to note that the number of water points were revised from the cited 16 to 8 after it came to light that the cost estimates used to develop the budget for this activity had been under-projected or underestimated. Regrettably, the project work plan was not updated accordingly, hence the reported failure to construct the water points. As alluded to, the corrective action that has been taken, as alluded to, 7 out of the targeted 8 water points were successfully constructed during the period under review and are available for physical verification. The Ministry is further in negotiations with the cooperating partner for additional funding to facilitate the construction of more water points. The documentary evidence that we have submitted, honorable members, under Appendix 5 include interim payment certificates, suppliers' invoices, which are all attached to the submission, and distributed CBPP vaccines. In 2022, as was stated earlier, the Ministry had proposed a shift in the approach for control of CBPP from the conventional strategy of vaccinations to test and slaughter. This is because vaccinations alone are not effective in the eradication of the disease. This change in approach is in line with international best practice. To this end, Zambia's CBPP control strategy was peer-reviewed and approved by the World Organization for Animal Health in 2022. This change would have pushed back the disease to its traditional areas so as to limit the vaccinations to the high-risk zone. During the protracted process to formalize the proposed change in CBPP eradication approach, as well as consultations with stakeholders, given the socio-economic ramifications of the new vaccinations had temporarily halted, hence the delay in distributing the vaccines. Corrective actions. Management wishes to report to the honorable members that all the cited 200 kgs of diluent and 300,000 doses of CBPP vaccines have since been distributed to northern, Muchinga, and western provinces for onward transmission to districts as well as the final vaccination points. Documentary evidence to this effect includes, honorable members, goods issued notes as well as goods received notes, which are available for audit verification and are presented at Appendix 6. I submit, honorable members.
Thank you, PS. Then proceed to paragraph 31.
This one there. is presented is funny. Will I read this one? Honorable Chairperson, just some guidance if you will indulge me. This one is presented slightly differently, so I don't know whether if I may be allowed just to go through the finding quickly so that it flows, or I just go as earlier guided to the cause.
Thank you. I think you can proceed. Let's see how it will flow as guided. Then if not, then we'll revert back, because I don't know how you've represented this one.
Okay. Thank you for that guidance, Honorable Chairperson. Noting that the difference between the budgeted and funded amount is only 7 kwacha, the committee may wish to note that the difference is mainly attributed to an accounting rounding off error. In terms of corrective action, honorable members, management will endeavor.
I think on that one you can skip. Okay. Even this paper you've used for government is more than 7 kwacha. But you can proceed on the next one, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, members. In terms of management of breeding centers, fish farms, dip tanks, and veterinary camps, it is regrettable that there was a delay in tagging the cited animals during the period under review. The delay is attributed to inadequate funding to procure requisites used for tagging. Corrective action. The committee may wish to note that funds were made available for tagging of these animals during the year 2023, and the cited animals have since been tagged and are available for physical inspection. Documentary evidence to this effect, presented at Appendix 1, is a schedule of ear tags which have been used, and this schedule is presented at Appendix 1. Failure to insure animals. The delay in insuring the cited animals was due to inadequate funding to meet the insurance costs, given the constrained budget provision for the cited breeding center. In terms of corrective action, management has since submitted a loss report to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning to facilitate the normalization of the 244 animals that died as a result of disease outbreak. Management further wishes to submit to the committee that 96 out of the remaining 286 animals have since been insured, except for rabbits, except for 53 rabbits, as well as 137 animals under the age of 6 months, which the insurance companies do not insure according to their policies. In addition, the concerned officers have since been reoriented in asset management to guard against the recurrence of such an incident. Documentary evidence to this effect, presented at Appendix 2, copies of the cover note, post-mortem reports, and the loss report, which are presented as at Appendix 2 and are ready for audit verification. Management of payroll and staff-related matters. Irregular changes of pay points, Muchinga Province. The Ministry wishes to submit to the committee that 6 transfer letters, as well as, sorry, I beg your pardon. It is regrettable that there was a delay in retrieving transfer and first appointment letters by the province due to poor records management. The committee may wish to note that 8 out of the 14 cited cases were first appointments, while the remaining 6 were transfers. In terms of corrective action, the Ministry wishes to submit to the committee that 6 transfer letters as well as 8 first appointment letters have since been retrieved. The committee may further wish to note that PEMIC end users effected the changes to pay points using the authority minutes from PSMD as well as authority letters from the provincial administration. Documentary evidence to this effect, copies of transfer and first appointment letters, and authorities from PSMD and communication from the provincial administration are available for audit verification and are presented at Appendix 3. Misplacement of payroll area. The cause: the ministry structure has been lean since it split from the Ministry of Agriculture in 2016. Consequently, management administratively transferred staff to facilities where no positions for certain cadres exist in order to provide critical services, hence the reported misplacements. Corrective action: a request to normalize the placement of the 158 misplaced officers has since been submitted to PSMD, out of which 39 positions have since been normalized, while the remaining 119 positions are being processed by PSMD. Documentary evidence: authority from PSMD, transfer letters for daily classified employees, and also a follow-up letter to PSMD to normalize the misplaced officers. These are available for audit verification and are presented at Appendix 4. Irregular payment of allowances, rural and remote hardship allowances. Rural hardship allowance. The cause for this, the committee may wish to note that the pay points or payroll areas for 39 officers out of the cited 45 are based at the 7 cited districts of Nakonde, Shiwangandu, Livingston, Mpika, Choma, Mazabuka, and Monze, despite the officers being stationed at facilities which do not have these positions. This was done in order to provide services at facilities where no such positions exist, given that the ministry has had a lean structure since its separation from the Ministry of Agriculture in 2016. I beg your pardon there, that's an error, a typo, should be 2016. The 39 officers are stationed at facilities that are located in the range of 30 to 185 kilometers from the central business districts, which in itself qualifies for the payment of rural hardship allowance. The remaining 6 officers are stationed at locations which are not eligible for the payment of the allowances. In terms of the remote hardship allowance, On the issue regarding payment of remote hardship allowance, the pay point in respect of the cited position is at Mporokoso district, but the officer is actually stationed at Chiwala camp, which is 72 kilometers from the central business district. This was done to provide critical services in the said area where this particular position does not exist. Corrective action that has been undertaken in terms of rural hardship allowance, the ministry wishes to submit that 39 out of the cited 45 officers are eligible in view of the explanation I alluded to in the cause of this irregularity, while recoveries for the remaining 6 ineligible officers have been effected and recoveries are ongoing. In terms of the remote hardship allowance, the remote hardship allowance paid under Porokoso, the officer is eligible to draw the allowance in line with Cabinet Circular number, there's no number there, of 215, as he's stationed at Chiwala camp, which is 72 kilometers from the central business district. In terms of documentary evidence presented at Appendix 5, we've got tables depicting payroll areas, locations where officers are domiciled, and distances from the central business district, copies of officers' pay slips as proof of recovery, and letter of officers' assignment from Porokoso district to Chiwala, which are available for verification. I also plead the indulgence of honorable members at this point. It was an omission in the presentation of the response, and this is to say that officers that have been placed at facilities where no such positions exist, these are part of the earlier number of officers where we are trying to normalize this irregularity, which I presented just a few minutes ago. I thought maybe I would do well to highlight that to the honorable members. Thank you. Failure to recover tuition advances. This is Petauke DFLCO. Management regrets the delay in recovering the salary advance. In terms of corrective action, recoveries on the said salary advance have
Is it salary or tuition advance?
It should be tuition. Sorry. Thank you for that correction, Chair. Recoveries on the said tuition advance have since been effected, and copies of the payslip with running recoveries is available for audit verification. Management has further also enhanced payroll review and monitoring to avoid the recurrence of the matter. Documentary evidence, payslip showing these recoveries is presented at Appendix 6. Unsupported payments. The delay to retrieve the cited supporting documents is attributed to poor records management at the cited district. This was further exacerbated by the fact that the ministry has not had positions for dedicated accountants at the cited district since its separation from the Ministry of Agriculture, and relies on accountants from other institutions in the district to form to perform accounting duties. Corrective action. All the cited supporting documentation has since been retrieved, and the concerned officers have since been reoriented in records management to avoid the recurrence of the matter. In addition, the Treasury has since been requested to facilitate the creation of the said position and the subsequent filling up of ministry dedicated accountants at provincial and district offices. Documentary evidence that has been presented at Appendix 7 are the receipts, local purchase orders, authority at 7A, and at 7B, a request that was made to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning regarding the filling up of positions of accountants. Holding of workshops without authority. This is Serenge DFLCO. The only government facility that was available at the time of evaluation for the workshop was the Farmer Training Center, which was already hosting another activity at the time the cited workshop was scheduled to take place. However, the selection of applicants could not be delayed as the undertaking was designed to be conducted countrywide in beneficiary provinces at the same time to avoid biasness, hence the decision to host the evaluations at a private venue. The district coordinator has since been cautioned against the practice in order to mitigate against the recurrence of such an incident. Documentary evidence presented at Appendix 8 is a copy of the warning letter addressed to the district coordinator. Failure to submit expenditure returns, Mongo PFLCO. The cause for this, the committee may wish to note that expenditure returns were availed for verification. However, there was a delay in retrieving payment vouchers and supporting documentation from the 10 districts due to poor record management when these were requested for during verification. This was further exacerbated by the fact that, as stated earlier, that the ministry has not had positions for dedicated accountants at the cited districts since its separation from the Ministry of Agriculture, and relies on accountants from other institutions to perform accounting duties. In terms of corrective action, all the cited supporting documents have been retrieved. The affected officers have been oriented on records management. Further, as stated earlier, the Treasury has since been requested to facilitate the creation of the positions and the subsequent filling of ministry dedicated accountants across the country. At Appendix 9, honorable members, we have submitted the expenditure returns and the request to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning on filling of positions of our accountants, and these are available for audit verification. Management of stores, unaccounted for stores. Again, the delay to retrieve the cited supporting documentation was due to poor record management. This was further exacerbated by the fact that the ministry has not had positions for dedicated accountants at the cited districts, again since its separation from the Ministry of Agriculture, and relies on accountants from other institutions to perform accounting duties. In terms of corrective action, honorable members, all the cited supporting documentation has since been retrieved. The concerned officers have again since been reoriented in records management to avoid a recurrence. The documentation is available for verification. Similarly, the Treasury has since been requested to facilitate the creation of positions and the subsequent secondment of ministry dedicated accountants across the country. Documentary evidence is presented at Appendix 10 and includes receipt and disposal records and a request to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning on filling of positions of accountants. Fuel drawn by vehicles not owned by the institution. There was a delay in retrieving correspondence to confirm the finding that the cited documents used during vaccinations were requested from sorry, can I present that again? There was a delay in retrieving correspondences to confirm the finding that the cited vehicles used during the vaccinations were requested from departments and projects under the ministry due to inadequate transport at the provincial office. Corrective action, documentation confirming that the questioned vehicles were obtained from departments and projects under the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock to beef up transport during vaccinations conducted under Lusaka province has since been retrieved. All concerned officers have since been cautioned and reoriented in records management to avoid a recurrence of the matter. Documentary evidence at Appendix 11, documentation on vehicles used during the assignment. Unaccounted for vaccines, Mongo. The delay in retrieving the cited receipts and disposal details is attributed to poor records management at the cited provincial office as well as districts. This was further exacerbated by the fact that the ministry has not had positions for dedicated stores officers to carry out stores management at the cited districts since the ministry's separation from the Ministry of Agriculture in 2016. In terms of corrective action, honorable members, the ministry wishes to report that all the cited receipts and disposal details necessary to account for the procured vaccines have since been retrieved. In addition, concerned officers have been reoriented in records management to avoid a recurrence. Documentary evidence presented at Appendix 12, vaccine receipt and disposal details, and the request to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning regarding filling of positions of accountants, and these are available for audit verification. Management of assets, failure to secure title deeds. The committee may wish to note that most of the properties have had no site plans and diagrams, which are a prerequisite for obtaining title deeds, and this has been since the country's independence. In this regard, the delay to obtain title deeds is mainly attributed to the lack of budget provisional support to meet the cost to undertake siting, diagramming and titling. Corrective action. The Ministry wishes to report to the committee that estimates to facilitate the commencement of citing, diagramming necessary to obtain said title deeds have been included in the approved budget for the year 2022 under the Technical Support Services Program. Documentary evidence presented at Appendix 13 is an extract or a copy of the 2024 Yellow Book showing budget estimates for citing and titling, and this is available for audit verification. Failure to update asset registers. This is regrettable that there's been a delay in updating the asset registers at the cited districts. This is again attributed to the lack of ministry dedicated accounting staff, as the districts rely on accountants from other ministries for accounting services. In terms of corrective action, the committee may wish to note that the asset registers have since been updated after management engagement with the accountants from other ministries. Further, the Treasury has since been requested to facilitate the creation of positions and subsequent filling of ministry dedicated accountants at provincial and district offices. Documentary evidence presented at Appendix 14 includes asset registers and the request to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning on filling of positions of accountants, and these are available for audit verification. Failure to insure motor vehicles and motorbikes. The delay to insure the cited assets is mainly attributed to inadequate funds to meet the cost of insurance premiums due to constrained budget provisions for the concerned districts during the period under review. The Honorable Committee may wish to note that out of the cited motorbikes totaling 34, 15 motorbikes under the Kalomo district belong to Ministry of Agriculture, but were found parked at the same premises shared by our two ministries at the time of the audit. The ministry also wishes to report that 15 out of the 19 motorbikes under the ministry have since been insured following the release of funding under the current or 2023 fiscal year, while the 4 motorbikes under Namwala, Livingston, and 2 from Kalomo districts are non-runners and have been earmarked for boarding. As regards insurance for motor vehicles, 2 out of the 3 have since been insured, while the queried vehicle under Sinazongwe district belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture and may have been erroneously cited under our ministry. The 2 boats that belong to Namwala DFLCO have been insured using the current year's funding. Documentary evidence, copies of asset registers for Namwala, Sinazongwe, and Kalomo districts. Also, insurance cover notes and, under 15C, letters from the concerned districts, and these are available for audit verifications. Failure to settle obligations. The committee may wish to note that the cited debt was inherited following the ministry split from the Ministry of Agriculture in 2016. The delay to settle this indebtedness is attributed to limited budgeting thresholds over the years due to the tight fiscal space at the Treasury. In terms of corrective action, the committee may wish to note that the Treasury and Financial Management Circular number 13 of 2023, dated 21st January 2023, guided that all outstanding obligations by ministries, provinces, and spending agencies accrued prior to the financial year 2022 would be settled centrally by the Treasury. Management has since submitted all cited outstanding bills to the Treasury as guided in the said circular and continues to engage the Treasury on final settlement of the debt. At Appendix 16, honorable members, we have submitted a copy of the Treasury and Financial Management Circular number 13 of 2023 and proof of submission of outstanding bills to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, and these are available for audit verification. I submit, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, PS, for your submission for those paragraphs. Honorable colleagues, we can break off for tea for 10 minutes, then we can come back and start questioning paragraph 30. Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to lift the immunity conferred before you.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you. On Noyo constituency, we profile Mumba constituency, located about 140 kilometers from Lusaka. It is a tourist district which is found in the Kafue National Park. As of the 2010 census, the district had a population of 218,000 328 people. Mumbwa is largely a farming district, although copper and gold mining also form part of economic activities in the district. The Mumbwa constituency office is located in the central business district of Mumbwa. The office was established in 2006 and acts as a bridge between the Member of Parliament and the constituents. Honorable Credo Nanjua is Mumbwa Member of Parliament and also Central Province Minister.
Mumbwa Parliamentary Constituency is made up of 12 wards, which most of them are remote rural, and one which encompasses the township. Basically, as people of Mumbwa, our main economic activities is agriculture. The other activity that is there for now, I think it's also mining, which is taking place in a number of wards. So those are some of the activities that the people thrive on, and fishing, of course. So those are some of the things that are in Mumbwa that many people get jobs and create business opportunities, and even the markets, they are normally engaged into that.
He now talks about the members of parliament that have served under Mumbwa constituency before him.
Well, the members of parliament that have served before me, I succeeded Dr. Honorable Branch Tuo, who was under the MMD. He also succeeded Honorable Badat, who was a UPND MP from 2001 to 2006. Then before Honorable Badati, there was Honorable Stanford Lazo, who was also under the UPND. He was the first UPND MP in Mumbwa Parliamentary Constituency, who won a by-election when Honorable Kaneo Chivubwe died, was also from the MMD. Of course, before Kaneo Chivubwe was there, there was the same Stanford Lazo was the MP initially, then he resigned, and then Kaneo Chivubwe came in. These are the ones that I can remember. Of course, I can also remember those who served under UNIP, like Honorable Chirimboy, is one of the first ministers from our place, and Honorable Chivwema. So these are the people who served the Mumbwa Parliamentary Constituency before I came in.
The area Member of Parliament now talks about the challenges the people of Mumbwa face.
Mumbwa constituency has got its own challenges, which affects the people. As we have indicated that the people, they are more in agriculture, it means now the road network becomes at play. Most of the feeder roads, they are normally required to be attended to. Basically, in the past, we would have grading of those feeder roads annually. Immediately after the rains, the grader would go around and grade the roads. But over a period of time, I think it has been very difficult to grade the feeder roads in Mumbwa Parliamentary Constituency, more especially that resources at local authorities haven't been very adequate, and the issue of CDF equally too was not adequate. When we talk of the 1.6 million that we used to receive over a period of 5 years, it was something that would not make any economic sense to cater for the whole space of the constituency. The other issues that we are looking at is the issue of water reticulation. Water is a challenge in Mumbwa Parliamentary Constituency. Most of the townships around the central business district, they are not connected to the source of the Lukanga water supply. So many, they are still relying on standalone boreholes and also some shallow wells. And we have also gone ahead with the Ministry of Water and Sanitation to drill more industrial boreholes to supplement to the services from Lukanga water from the dam. So these 7 industrial boreholes have been drilled. What is just remaining is equipping them which we are very sure that probably before the end of this month, all the 7 boreholes will be equipped and the water reticulation will be improved in the Central Business District in Mumba Parliamentary Constituency. On the issue of the roads, we have taken advantage of the improved CDF allocation to our parliamentary constituency, and we have thought that for us to be more efficient in attending to these challenges of the feeder roads, we procure a grader. The Mumba-Kasempa road is another issue that we are looking at. It's an economical road. Once the road, the Mumba-Kasempa road, is fixed, is worked on, we are seeing more transporters coming from Northwestern using the Mumba-Kasempa road because it's shorter than using the Copper Belt one. So that is an economical road that we are considering and putting serious commitment to it. But what have we done? What we have done is we have linked Mumba-Kasempa road with the Mumba Landress Corner road, and we have submitted it to be one of the priority projects under Central Province, because every province we have submitted 10 projects that needs that we think they are priority projects. So it's one of those projects that we have put there, and we are very happy that the Ministry of Infrastructure and Urban Development has considered that road. Under the markets, what we are looking at, we have got the oldest market by the town center there. That's the market that everyone was trading from, but it's highly congested and there is no space and the infrastructure itself is dilapidated. Then to decongest that, we thought of opening the new station market where most of these buses and the transport arrangements which goes into rural areas have been taken. But through local generated revenue and the grants of the council, we started constructing that market. But now, since we have got enough resources under CDF, is one of the areas also that we are looking at in the fourth quarter allocation, that we should attend to it. Because as we are talking now, even that same market is not enough. The population of people in Mumba is really growing. Traders are all over. We are working around the clock to ensure that the old market as well, if we can give it a facelift and work on some of those infrastructures which are there, and also we attend to that market. We have got another market in Piri and Sons that we are working on. We are also looking at another market in the place which we call as Chimunzi there, so that those people who are there, they are able to trade from there. Those in the new station, they are trading from there. We create space for everyone so that we can decongest the streets along the main road in the township. The free education policy has given us the clear picture of what is required in the education sector in the constituency. Most of the schools that have visited in the constituency have found that the numbers of learners have actually increased 50%, 30%, and now the challenge is the space, the room to learn from, and also the employment of the new teachers also has reviewed another challenge of teachers' houses. So we have taken a number of decisions in ensuring that we can mitigate this challenge of infrastructure for learners and also teachers. So we assign a greater, we allocated a great amount of money in the construction of classroom blocks and teachers' houses in the education sector. And also in the health sector is the same challenge. Most of the places where we have sent our newly recruited health workers, there is no accommodation. So we have taken that as well, so that this challenge can be mitigated. Under the education sector, most of the schools in the constituency, they didn't have desks. Desks have been a challenge, be it a high school, a primary school, preschool. Most of the areas, they don't have desks. What we have done under Constituency Development Fund, we have allocated the 1 million kwacha this year, that we procure 1,000 desks, which we are going to to share across the constituency. But our main long-term objective is that from 2023, we embark on a program of procuring at least 3,000 desks in the next 4 years.
Honorable Nanjua is determined to see to it that the challenges faced by his constituents are resolved.
The people of Mumbwa can continue trusting me because, one, I respect them. I engage them, and we have got that collaboration with them. From the time I became MP, so far I have gone to all the 11 wards, other than one which I haven't yet gone, to thank them for voting us and also engage them on what they want to see under the funding that we are going to receive as the Constituency Development Committee. So that collaboration and engagement, I think it excites the people, and they are able to contribute, and they are able to tell us. And also where we don't agree with them, we still engage them that here we are thinking that this could be good for the constituency. So I want to base our trust on that collaboration and engagement.
Mr. David Custom is a professional assistant for Mumba Constituency Office. He sheds more light regarding the importance of the office.
To answer the questions which will be asked by the honorable members in accordance with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. Honorable colleagues, we will begin with paragraph 30, which the PS has submitted to that effect. So we'll begin our questioning with paragraph 30. We can proceed. Honorable Lumai, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
We can start with A, budget, funding and expenditure. You can proceed.
Mr. Chairperson, allow me to thank the PS for submitting 3 long paragraphs. And Mr. Chairman, allow me to ask the controlling officer just 2 quick questions as we get organized. Chair, the PS has said that the non-utilization from the funding of the 2022 of 61.578388 was because the vendor had not delivered what he was requested to do. And I want if the PS can avail any proof before this committee that indeed this was the reason and this was submitted before the auditors at the time of audit. And Chair, further, the ministry has submitted proof that indeed it applied for the retention. So 61 million being the amount of money, I've taken note, Chair, that in their request they have requested this retention in 2 block figures, 43 million and 18 million, when it was supposed to be 61. So I want to understand why you did that retention, especially that this was done after the year had ended. You did this retention in 2023 February instead of 2022. Chair, I submit.
Thank you. Any other questions on budget, funding and expenditure? PS, you can proceed and answer the question from the honorable member.
Thank you very much, honorable members. If you indulge me, can I have the If you don't mind, can I have the first part of the question, please? If that's agreeable.
PS, just we can pay attention now. Honorable, you can rephrase your question.
Controlling officer, in your response, you are saying the funds were committed to procurements, but regrettably were not paid out as the vendors had not delivered the items before the end of the year. This is in respect to 61,578,388. So I am saying, you know the length of the year. It is 12 months. So you are giving this as a reason why you did not spend the 61 million. So I'm saying, if you are able to provide proof before this committee that indeed the vendor did not deliver the items with this amount, and if at audit time this was your submission before the auditors, and secondly, you had applied for retention of this money before the treasury. So instead of applying for retention for 61,578,000, you broke this figure into two: 43,153,000 and 18,425,000. What was the reason? And I was saying, why did you apply for the retention after the year had been closed? Because you applied for the retention in April, 4th April 2023, Mr. Chairman. I hope the PS has gotten me clear now. And the other one was 24th February 2023, when the year was 2022.
Thank you. PS, with those questions you can proceed and answer.
Okay. Thank you very much, honorable members. In terms of the 61 million, the activity was primarily focused on procurement of motorbikes. That was the big one. Now, it would appear that, and I say it would appear, honorable members, because I'm just catching up on what was going on in the ministry, but that doesn't remove my responsibilities. So the purchase of motorbikes had not been planned for the year. Now, what transpired is, when there was this supplementary funding that came through, there was a
Yes, just before, let me not disturb your thought as you're making submission. I want to understand as you proceed.
Okay.
You have 61 million.
Yes, sir.
Which was not utilized. Then you are saying it was for this particular. There's a vendor who did not deliver.
Right.
Then you are saying you marked for motorbikes.
Right.
How do you earmark something which is not planned? I just want to understand. I'm a bit lost, because already you have the funding. This funding is for motorbikes, if I'm not mistaken. Or are you saying that the 61 million was for a particular vendor, was given a contract, he delayed to deliver? What is it? I think we just want to understand. Maybe you can proceed. Or where's procurement? Procurement, you can take a seat next to your chief accountant there, so that you help the PS. We want to understand who this vendor is, maybe before PS can proceed and explain. Who is this vendor who did not deliver, resulting in an unutilized 61 million? Maybe you can, before we proceed, Honorable Lumai.
No, Chair, as we proceed also, the PS must also bring the committee to speed how the issue of supplementary is coming into this subject, because this was money approved, budgeted by your ministry, approved, then you failed to use the 61 million out of what you were given. and then you are bringing in the issue of supplementary. So as you respond, I would also want to understand how the issue of supplementary is coming in.
Thank you. PS, maybe you can proceed, finish your submission, then procurement to come in.
Thank you very much, members. The 72 million, I need...
Yes, sorry, PS, you can switch off the mic. Yes, Honorable Mparari.
Thank you, Chair. The controlling officer has indicated that to some extent he is trying to catch up with what is happening at the ministry. But there is a director of finance who should keep us to speed in terms of understanding what was going on. I think he should be in the right position to actually explain the budget position. Unlike for the controlling officer, maybe to start and trying to understand while the director of finance is seated.
Thank you. I do agree with you to a certain extent, Honorable, but to a certain extent I don't, because PS is in charge, and I think there's a brief. She should know what's happening and all the figures before she approves them. But we'll allow her to just finish her submission. Procurement and Director Finance, you come in to help the PS. So PS, you can proceed with your submission. Then we'll have we want to understand, because Director Finance should be very conversant with what transpired, like Honorable Mparari has said. But you are the ODT, you are the one in charge. So you can proceed and tell us.
Thank you very much, members. There's 72,990,000 and there's 6,620,000. Sum total is roughly about 78, 79, thereabouts. This figure, the summation of that is in the 928 million. It's included in there. So the ministry goes through the year, comes to the end of the year, and they have this money that's unutilized, or rather we have this money that's unutilized. So therefore, looking at the need for motorbikes, because the ministry always needs motorbikes because of the nature of our business, it was decided that we go through procurement of 332 motorbikes or thereabouts. And in order to, and this was coming to the end of the year, in order to go ahead with that procurement or that contracting, recognizing that the ministry had come to the end of the year, they did not sign the contract until there was some approval or indication from the Ministry of Finance that there would be a possibility of retaining the funds. So I do believe, or if I recall from what I have gathered, the contract itself was signed about the 23rd of December. So already between the 23rd of December to the end of the year, that was a short period of time. Hence the request officially for retention of funds. So that much is what happened in terms of this. So the contractor, it was agreed after the necessary approvals and consultations had been undertaken, that the ministry could go ahead, sign the contract 23rd of December, and then have the contract perform into the new year.
Yes, sorry to cut you short. I think now everything is getting mixed out now. I don't know, because your submission, there's that money earmarked for the bicycles. They were not budgeted for. There's funds now which have been retained. So for me, you can switch off the mic at the moment. Maybe procurement, tell us about this procurement, which has been cited here for 61 million. 61 million was meant for what? Then Director of Finance, you come through and explain. What is these motorbikes budgeted for in your budget?
Chair, to respond to that particular question, in the initial procurement plan, the motorbikes were not part of that original procurement plan. But however, the issue of the procurement of motorbikes came in after the approval of the supplementary from Minister of Finance. And hence, even the commencement of the procurement, which started a bit later in the year. However, getting to the other query from the other honorable member regarding the 61, what constitutes or what comprises this figure? Chair, you may wish to note that there were quite a number of procurements that were already awarded towards the end of the year. But however, as you may be aware, despite having the award, we may not proceed to issue an order. An order only comes when funds have been funded. And what happened in this case, just like the PS had submitted, that we had let receipt of funds, which was by 8th December and 12th December. So it was only after we had received this funding that we were sure that we should now proceed to execute some of these contracts. In addition to the motorbikes, there were also other equally important procurements regarding VET department. So hence, Chair, what happened was that immediately the funds were received, we started executing these contracts in form of local purchase orders in order to secure the money. However, the delivery could not be performed because considering the fact that these contracts were being now entered into in December, it meant that some of these delivery periods were spilling over to the following year. So hence the need by the ministry to apply for the retention of these funds so that the performance could proceed even in the following year, like it is the case now, where we see that the performance of the motorbikes contract has been performed this year, despite this is coming from last year, where the contract was signed in December. But upon receipt of the approval from finance regarding the retention, that's when we proceeded now to instruct the supplier to proceed with the performance of the contract. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. I think we can proceed unless there's any other clarification on the issue. Honorable Mukumbi, is a question, or Honorable Mfarari on the same?
No, actually, for me, there are 4 questions from Honorable Umai. I think what has just been answered is the separation of the two, but there is an issue of why did you have to apply in the letter is indicating February, why, and April. So why did you have to take that long if this money was quite important to you? When it came, the day it came, I think you should have, knowing that the days were numbered and there are very few days remaining, why didn't you just apply instantly? I think those are some of the questions that the Honorable asked and have not been answered.
Thank you. Director of Finance, through your PS, you can proceed and answer. Because you had sight of your funding slips, or when you received those funds, why did you immediately not apply for retention? Because you know your window period. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Through the PS, Chair, what transpired was that like it has been submitted, we received these funds late into the year, and the Chair, we realized as management somewhere towards the end of February that on the face of our financial statements, we are going to lose the 33 million and hence the application for retention. But as we are undertaking our reconciliation in the system, it also came to our attention that the extra 18 million, we are also not going to utilize it. And we attempted to request for retention, which retention was not granted. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lumai, you can proceed.
Mr. Chairman, the submissions are not adding up regarding the query from Auditor General. The controlling officer mentioned 72.9 and 6.6 billion. These are two different figures. What we are querying, Mr. Chairman, is the 813 million which was released by the Treasury. Then out of this amount, you only spent 751, hence this 61 million coming into play. So this, you did this budget, we approved this budget for your ministry. Since we are discussing 2022, we approved this in 2021 as Parliament in December. Now, 813 is released. Then you only utilize 751 million. Now, Mr. Chairman, we have got an issue here. Director Procurement, he's saying out of this amount, some money was released late, and then we are being told that there was a vendor who did not deliver. So we are discussing the 813 million and not the 707.9. So what can help us understand also, if you had this 61, which was already given to you in the 2022 budget, so how did you fail to apply for retention of the whole 61.5 million kwacha? And Mr. Chairman, I said I wanted to understand whether this was the position of the ministry before the auditors at the time of auditing.
Thank you. We can make that clarification, Director of Finance, through your PS.
Thank you, Chair. The 813 million that was released to the ministry, it actually includes the 72 million and the 6 million. Yeah, the only thing is that these two amounts were released towards the end of the year, and therefore they form part of the 61 million that the ministry had not utilized at the end of the year. And broken down, as I had presented earlier, Honorable Chair, the 43 million plus that was requested in February for retention, and the 18 million plus that was also requested in April, as submitted, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lumai. That clarified. We'll proceed to the next query, that failure to procure booze for artificial insemination. Honorable Mukumbi.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the ministry did advertise. Surprisingly, all the bidders that participated during the tender process had quoted the same amount. So if there were 4 or 5, all of them put up the same amount. And then this particular tender was cancelled. I want to know why the ministry did not retender. Because that should be procedural. The moment you are now that, you should have retendered. But instead, everything was put on hold. And have you since sourced for funds, for fresh funds, to ensure that the breeding bulls are bought? Chair, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Mwila.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Further to the question that Honorable Mukumbi has asked, the response is referring to the market price as indicated by the price reasonableness analysis. Now, if we can have bidders submitting the same price and then there is a market price, which market is this that is being referred to when we want to assume that there was no collusion among the bidders? They were independently bidding and it happened that they bid the same price. So which market is being referred to that had a completely different price from those that are dealing in the booze? And further, I wanted to know how many bid for the supply of the booze. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. You can proceed, PS, and answer those questions. I think procurement, you take on the question why you did not retender. Then these where's director livestock or something? There, I think you pick up the other one on artificial insemination, or you explain helping the PS. So through PS procurement, you can proceed and tell us why you did not retender.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, this matter regarding the procurement of the bulls, 8 bulls, was presented before the Ministry Procurement Committee on the 2nd of August 2022. And the committee, having considered this matter in its own wisdom, this matter was not approved due to a number of issues that were raised. Chair, the issue of retendering, yes, what followed later, management of course made a decision that there was equally another important assignment which was connected to the insemination, artificial insemination exercise. And hence management made a decision instead to undertake a training of officers across the country. And that's the reason why we could not proceed with the retendering of this assignment. Submit, Chair.
For me, that answer is not adequate. What you are telling us now, head of procurement, you are taking us elsewhere. PS, back to you now. When you budgeted for 8 bulls, okay, to buy them for artificial insemination. Why did management sit again and say you use this money for subsistence allowance? You start to misapply funds. In short, you sit and say let's misapply funds. Why did you do that, PS, before Director Vet comes in? Honorable Mfarari, you can also ask your question. I want PS to tell me why you decided willingly, what motivated you to misapply these funds. Honorable Mfarari.
No, Chair, thank you so much. Actually, I was in the same line to understand what motivated, or why do you have to decide to divert the money which was meant for a specific program, and you decide to give it for training.
They pay themselves.
Yes. Now, on planning, you are planning to buy booze. And when you plan to buy booze, I don't think you planned to start training. You should have done the training way before you started projecting to buy booze. And even the answers that you are giving as a ministry, I think we have difficulties to accept these answers because they look like they are afterthought, in the sense that you fail to provide the auditors or the Auditor General's office these letters that you are putting, in terms of the first letters where you are not accounting for why the 61,000 was 61,000, yeah, 61 million was not being utilized, you have failed to tell us. Now you have this, and you are saying there was evaluation. You have gone straight to MPC. Why the evaluation report? To show that actually the animals that you are claiming in terms of the price fixing is actually, there was that fixing of price fixing where you are coming with one price. We have difficulties to understand what was really going on there. So maybe we look at, bring your evaluation report. Let's look at your evaluation report, the solicitation document, so that we can also understand or appreciate what was going on here. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed and answer my question. What motivated you to divert these funds or misapply funds willingly? You can proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I hope I don't not mislead, because I'm also just catching up. But there was an amount of 697 million budgeted for, let me just look for the exact amount. 697 odd million budgeted, honorable members, for the program for procurement of breeding bulls.
697 for procurement of bulls, 172 for transportation. That is a composition.
No, 524,000 for the procurement of the bulls, honorable members, and 172 coming to the 697. Yes. So in terms of this programming, it took the form of what we are now using, the output-based budgeting process, and in there were various components that were going to support the breeding or the procurement of the breeding programs. The different components of the totality of the program would have been the training, there would have been the procurement of the bulls themselves, and then procurement of the associated equipment that would facilitate the carrying out of the artificial insemination programs, having procured the bulls. So, in terms of executing the program, honorable members, the first activity that management took was to undertake training of 20 artificial insemination technicians, as they are being called. That was undertaken in April of 2022. And the thinking was that you have qualified people who will be ready to undertake the insemination.
Yes. I've asked you a straightforward question. With your team, which in your own way you brought competent people to help you answer questions. My question is, you have 697 million, which in your own submission you've said has been used for training. My simple question is, why did you misapply the funds meant for procurement of bulls for training? If there was a component of training in the 697, you could have simply said that couldn't have been your submission. So these funds, maybe I rephrase my question. Did you use the 697 million to pay subsistence allowances across the country to train these people to be competent in terms of undertaking as artificial insemination, as it were? That is my question.
Honorable Chairperson, would it be in order that I call upon the Director, Livestock, because regrettably, I was just about to submit what I have come to understand surrounding this matter and indeed other matters. But maybe because this was happening and the decisions with the then management were going on, whilst I was not at the ministry, I fear I may not address your question properly. So with your indulgence, Chairperson, I may seek now to call upon the Director, Livestock.
Before Director Livestock comes in, Director Finance, what did you use this money for? The 697 million. Who did you pay? Maybe we make it simple. Then Director Livestock, you come through. Who did you pay this 697 million? Because your submission before this committee, you are saying the committee may wish to note that management applied the funds on training of officers drawn across the country. That's your submission. So we are simply questioning your submission, which now you need to authenticate and tell this honorable committee. Did you use the 697 million for 1,000 for subsistence allowance? You tell us, and then we proceed. So, Honorable Lumai, is it on the same? You can ask, and Director comes in.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to state that as Director Finance attempts, because the committee right now is at sea, Mr. Chairman, especially that this activity was planned for, and this activity was for Mazabuka district. And I just wanted to remind the Director Finance that as he responds, evidence produced before this committee, a report prepared by Sandy Kaonga, tells this committee that 20 people were the ones who benefited from this money for the training, 20 people, and the trainers were 9. So, Mr. Chairman, as he responds, I want him, if he can go a little bit further, how much was each bull of the 8, which were budgeted in the 524, and what necessitated that you failed to buy the 8 bulls from this amount and train the 20 people?
Thank you. Director of Finance, I think the question is simple. How did you utilize the 697,000 kwacha? Did you pay subsistence allowance to these trainees? Then we proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Like PS has alluded to, Chair, the funds in question were actually utilized to train artificial insemination technicians across the country. And the first training took place somewhere in April 2022, and the 20 officers were trained. And then the other next set of officers that participated in the training took place around October 2022. Chair,
maybe before you proceed, Director of Finance, in your own thinking as a ministry, do you think what you did was right? To take these funds meant for the bulls to train people? I just want maybe to understand, do you think what you did was correct? Director of Finance, you can proceed.
Chair, I will attempt to respond to your query, but where I think I'm not going to be adequate, I will request the Director Livestock to come in, Chair. The understanding was that these activities were actually lined up in a way such that the first activity would be the training, and then the procurement of bulls would follow thereafter. But I think what triggered this initiative was the fact that the funds may not have been adequate, and hence the trainings were to take place, and then the procurement of the bulls were going to come in later. I submit.
Yeah, I'm getting now confused. First and foremost, before Honorable Ferrari comes in, you are depriving the Zambian people the access that was budgeted for to procure 8 bulls. By now, we could have been improving the breed in the aforesaid area, which is Mazabuka. In your own wisdom as a ministry, you move it. Let's train people. And this, again, we've indicated across the country. We don't even know when you are going to have budget to buy bulls for other jurisdictions. This is Mazabuka, to buy for Kasama, to buy for Eastern Province. You just train people who now, they've sat with the knowledge. What are they doing it with the knowledge? Nothing. You are waiting for next year's budget. You've indicated that the fiscal space was not adequate, where you could have trained even 5 people from Mazabuka and procure the bulls. It's even wisdom, you reduce the number of bulls from 8, maybe you procure 6. But you've done something, then you look for more funds. But you just train people and you make them sit. And then Director of Finance, this is a misapplication of funds, and you are saying an initiative. What initiative is it? Honorable Mfarari, then Honorable Mwila, then Honorable Lumai. Honorable Mfarari, you can proceed.
Chair, I have difficulties to understand. I think the question which you asked was, did you pay this 697,414 as allowances? The challenge also here, Chair, is the ministry is explaining to us that there were components that were involved in this 697. training being one of them. But then if training was one of them, why did you have to complete everything? If training was one of them and you had planned, then you should have even bought 4 bulls then. Then it would have been accommodated, or we could have moved further. But I think the 697, all of it, it can't show on the bulls. It only shows on the training.
Honorable Mwila.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, my earlier question has not yet been responded to. I wanted to know how many responded to the bid. Those that you are saying all of them bid the same price. How many were they? But in addition to that, the Appendix 2A, which is showing us the request to transfer the funds from buying the bulls to training, the amount being requested in this Appendix 2A is 277,414. But the subject figure we are talking about is 697. So maybe clarify further. Was all this 697,000 diverted to training? Because in the appendix, I'm only seeing request to spend 277,000 on the training. How much was spent on the training? And if it is not all the 697, what happened to the balance? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Luma, you can ask, then PS, just take note of those questions. I want clarifications. You can proceed.
Mr. Chairman, it's a very straight and simple question. How many bulls? 524,588 for procurement of bulls, and 172,826 for transportation of the bulls from the supplier to Mazabuka Insemination Training Center. Mr. Chairman, this is a straightforward query from Auditor General. So the ministry will help us to say each bull was costing so much, because even transport is already provided, Mr. Chairman, 172,000. So I'm at sea, a little bit at sea. From 524,000, we failed to buy 8 bulls. Even you have provided for transport money, 172,000 to Mazabuka. Then along the way, this money is diverted to training. So just help me understand, what was the cost according to you for each bull? And at what stage did you now decide to say, no, since it is the same amount being requested from all the bidders, we cannot now proceed to buy the bulls?
PS, you can proceed. Maybe before you proceed, let me have your Director Livestock to clarify those issues, and then you come through with other questions. Director Livestock, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Just hold on, Honorable Mfanani.
Chair, while the answers are being, I think we had requested for evaluation report.
It's here. It's with AG. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the mode of solicitation?
I don't know if that, I think AG would tell us what they are looking at, then we'll avail it to the honorable members. Director Livestock, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The training of artificial insemination technicians and the purchase of bulls actually feed into the same program, and this program is improving livestock production and productivity. I also want to allay the fears by the chair when he says that we trained them and they are sitting at home. Mazabuka is a national artificial insemination station, so even as we speak, those people that we trained, from the latest report I have, they have conducted to date about 779 inseminations. I also want to say, in mitigation, we have provided 6 million kwacha in the 2024 budget to deal with this matter. But I will not speak to matters of misapplication. I submit.
Mr. Director, Livestock. the issue here, I think PS, which honourable members are grappling with, is you made a provision to procure, which is a very important, like what Director Livestock has said, mitigation of all those submissions they said, livestock improvement of what, which is very, very good policy. Our fears is that if now you've misapplied that money, because what you've done is you've misapplied the money and trained people. Okay, training is important, but it's misapplication. We cannot take it away. You've provided now for 6 million. It will also motivate you tomorrow to say, no, we use 5 million for booze, let's use another million to advance our training because there's this new method. Why do we make a budget? We make a budget to follow it and take funds where it's supposed to be. That's accountability. But what you are simply doing at the ministry is you sit and if you know we can take. Budget is a law and it should be followed as such. I think that's the most important thing. If there's an issue, that's why you write for varying of funds. Okay, let's do a variation. We feel also training is important. We should start with training. We overlook this item. You write. You don't just sit in a meeting and decide, say, okay, now we're going to take it this way, that way, depriving Zambian people of certain benefits. I think that's a big anomaly, which I think we should not take lightly, even you as a ministry moving forward. You have all these competent people, director here, they're supposed to help and ensure that there's accountability. Otherwise, the submission from your director livestock, it's here nor there. We know, but we want to understand why did this thing transpire. Honorable Mfarari, you wanted to say something. Can we look at the evaluation? Can you? Can the honorable members look at that evaluation report so that we just ascertain how people could bid the same prices? Yeah, please run copies. If Auditor General has moved. Yes, Honorable Mfarari, can proceed.
Chair, I think the answer has not been given in terms of how this money was utilized. If the 697,000 was actually, 524,000 was actually meant for the booze, and you are telling the committee that actually there was also training in it, then your training should have had a component in it where you are training the staff. Then this 524,000 should have been saved, and we should have seen the booze on the ground. That we are going to improve our livestock in terms of your plans. So I'm failing to understand here, Chair, because if 524 was for the animals, why did they have to take it or to get even the same 277,000 and push it for training if the whole thing was planned? And further, Chair, you have just indicated that the variation of funds requires what maybe the accountant can help us, because in this case it looks like there was just a memo from Dr. Kaoma to the PS to look into variation, draw of these funds for them to use for training, according to this letter that has been attached. So how do you vary funds? Do you just wake up as a ministry and then, as we have approved here as Parliament, according to what you have provided in your budget, like we are doing right now, and then when you wake up as a ministry, you say, okay, these funds now will go this side, will train, because the quotation or the people that are trying to provide the animals are actually not, they have provided one price. I don't know.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, we will take position. There's no answer. There's nothing. Which these funds were misapplied, and we recommend as such, because I think we are going down circles the same issue. We proceed to the next item. Management of retirees, irregular payment of allowances. You can proceed if there are any questions. Honorable Mkumbi, you can proceed.
Controlling officer, it took some time to detect the 8 retirees do you receive monthly staff returns? And do you have competent people in those areas that would assist you make those decisions? Chair, submit.
Thank you. Honorable Mwila.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the corrective action and the recovery of the funds, in the response here, we are being told that of the 8, 3 of them, their benefits are yet to be paid, so recoveries will be done at the time of being paid. But there are 5 retirees whose pension benefits have already been paid. But then we are being told that Public Service Pension Fund will recover the remaining 83,000. How will this be possible? Because the affected staff, the 5, have already received their terminal benefits from PSPF. So how will PSPF recover this 83,000? I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lumai. Please take note of those questions.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to get a short answer from the controlling officer. Controlling officer has told this committee that he's new in the ministry. So as you were having a chat with your officers regarding the same matter, I want to understand what you were told as to who was responsible to separate these employees from the main payroll, and what stopped them from doing the right thing at the time when you were being briefed about this matter for you to come up with this response.
Thank you. I just want to clarify a point. PS, how long have you been in the ministry now?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and members. I reported for work on the 9th of October, so roughly about 6 weeks.
Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you very much, members. In terms of the issues that led to this regrettable situation, the person who was responsible for this was the Human Resource Officer, Senior Human Resource Officer. It would appear that because there was just one officer, this officer could have been overwhelmed by managing a ministry that has got close to 3,000 employees. So there was that regrettable oversight, honorable members. Now, what I suppose I will mix maybe the answers. That officer has since been transferred, but to try and mitigate against a further recurrence, 2 new officers have been appointed to take care, because it's evident that one wasn't sufficient. Not that it's an excuse, but one wasn't sufficient. So we have employed now, or we have in position, 2 officers to look at the matter. Secondly, associated with that, honorable members, regrettable again, there wasn't maybe consistency in producing the staff returns as the honorable member has requested. This has now been put in place to ensure that these issues are picked up from the onset. So through the submissions and orientation to my office, honorable members, we have discussed this issue, and I think one of the main things that will be of assistance is the strict adherence to staff return submissions, so that it is picked up at the submission other than when the auditors come in.
Where's the director HR? PS, these issues of payroll are very important. we all understand in this committee that payroll takes about 50% of the budget. And this issue of reorientation, I think, cannot be entertained by this committee. When a person is employed, there's a job description. Chief Human Resource Management Officer, Human Resource Management Officer, Assistant Director, Human Resource, all these people, they've got outlined duties. And that's why they're employed. We cannot have people to be reoriented for what? If people should know, I'm an accountant, I'm an auditor, I should know my role and what I need to do. And I've got my supervisor who's the director HR. By the end of the day, I should make my submissions. So this issue of reorientation, if people PS are incompetent, let them stay home. Incompetence people are supposed to be home, not in offices. So Director HR, tell us why this thing is happening in your department. Why are you not supervising your officers and ensuring that these staff returns are done as required by law? There is also issue of quarterly payroll audit. If your internal auditor is here, that should also be done. And some of these issues can be spotted. And also you've got the timings when you do your inputs through PEMEC. All those things are signed and also passed through the PS's office to sign. And various directors, I think it should be your Director HR, Controlling Officer, and I think Internal Audit, if I'm not mistaken, or Director Finance, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us, Director HR, why we should listen to these reactive reasons you are giving us as a committee. You can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Through the PS, as it has been indicated, Chair, payroll management, we have end users who are trained. After the training, then they are appointed by the controlling officer, and they are given access rights to the payroll. And one of the key result area or responsibility for the end users is to monitor and regularly review the payroll and the inputs. But in this unfortunate incident, Chair, there was a lapse, there was an oversight by the former end users, and she was reprimanded. So the corrective action, Chair, we appointed two senior human resource management officers, and then we are strictly adhering in terms of submissions of the staff returns, reviewing and monitoring, so that we avoid the recurrence. Then on the recovery, Chair, by PSPF, since they were already paid their terminal benefits, we followed up, we communicated to PSF, and the Public Servants Pensions Fund have given us feedback to state that the terminal benefits, the pension benefits, Chair, have not yet been paid. They are being processed, so they will affect the recoveries. Then for those the three other officers who have not yet been paid their terminal benefits, the ministry is effecting the recoveries, and we have the documentation. Although, Chair, it was a reactive action, I submit with.
Thank you, Director HR. And I think we'll push that the way the oversight is removed from government circles, because people come here, they like everything is an oversight. We what oversight? I think that's not correct. And I'm only glad you said reactive. Let's not be reactive. You've got very big offices. You've got a lot of staff under you. We shouldn't be reactive. Honorable Mkumbi, can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, in government, every level is supervised. Even the president is supervised by the voters. Equally the PS and ministers and all that. So he is saying that they did reprimand the officer that was found wanting. Who specifically was supervising this particular officer, if it's not himself? Why be reactive? Because this officer is supposed to be submitting staff returns, staff assignments, and all those to the supervisors. Why this delay? Maybe you can clarify on that, Chair.
Thank you. Through the PS Director, HR can proceed, then we make progress.
The end users, Chair, they are supervised by my office. But it's unfortunate that because they are the ones who are supposed to trigger the process when they detect anomalies, because in terms of authorization to access the system, it's only those who are trained and appointed. And the director and other supervising officers, we don't have direct access. But this officer, Honorable Chair, she delayed to detect these omissions, hence the overpayments, Chair, which is regrettable. So she reports to my office.
Let's make progress. PS, so far we haven't gotten any adequate answers from your ministry, but we'll proceed because I think we'll proceed. Honorable members, failure to vaccinate animals can proceed. Sorry? No, it's the same as still one. Yeah, 30. Yeah, progress. Yes. So proceed to 32. We'll proceed, then we'll break off at 1. Honorable colleagues, Honorable Lumai.
Mr. Chairman, allow me to direct the controlling officer to A. This is the enhanced smallholder livestock investment. Am I right? Mr. Chairman, the ministry has not responded to A. I just want to know what is the reason why. Because the money which was released was to benefit 28,000 households, and according to the auditors, only 22,584 benefited. So I want to understand why there is no response to A.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
Sorry, honorable members had gotten lost when I heard A. I was looking at the appendices, trying to follow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Honorable, we can rephrase your question. You've been directed. Okay.
So what is the question? Sorry, honorable members. The question is the underfunding resulting in a disadvantage to the households. Through the honorable chairperson, can I call upon the can I call upon the project coordinator for the ISLIP project to take this one, please?
Project coordinator, I can swap with Mr. Mkuka. There's that question, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Through the PS, the program target was 28,000 households should benefit from livestock packages. And we did report actually in our 2022 annual report, we did state that 31,194 households actually benefited. Now, this figure referred to here is actually from the half-yearly report for the e-sleep program, and it refers to women-headed households. So I would like to correct the situation that is actually 31,194 households that benefited from livestock packages by the end of 2022. I submit, Chair.
Honorable Mfarari.
Chair, then he's even confusing us further because if you are saying your target was 28,000, but the people that have benefited are actually 31,000. These queries that are coming up to this table, why did you fail to answer them at the time of audit? If you knew that actually there were more beneficiaries than what we are sitting here for. Further, I think, Chair, where are these projects happening? Where you are empowering these households? Where are these things happening? We are asking because you see, we get to a situation where sometimes we are asked and we are being told poverty levels are going up, and yet you have these projects going on which are supposed to be mitigation measures. So where are these projects happening?
Thank you, Honorable Luma. You can proceed.
Mr. Chair, maybe we can also ask Auditor General to clarify on this matter because there's discrepancy in the submissions.
Thank you. The coordinator for e-sleep, before you proceed, Auditor General, is there any clarification? You can proceed. So, coordinator, you can proceed while Auditor General is looking at those figures. There's a question from Honorable Mufarari. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. These beneficiaries are located throughout the country, and they are beneficiaries over a period of the program life. It's not only, this figure is not only for 2022, but it's a cumulative figure from the time restocking started in about 2020, thereabout. Thank you, Chair.
Is follow-up question, Honorable Mfarari?
Yes, Chair. If these figures were cumulative, could you just tell us how much you spent in 2022 on these family households? Because the figures are quite huge. Over the period of 2020 to 2022, this is a period of 4 years. And according to the report, it's your report that gives the figures actually that we are disputing on e-sleep. Now, if what did you spend in 2022, or how many households benefited in 2022 alone?
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Lamai.
Mr. Chairman, before the director sends this committee at Indian Ocean, Mr. Chairman, here, 160 million was the provision. This is 2022. And 152 million, Mr. Chairman, was released. This is 2022. This is not 2020. So I want to remind the director that the figures we are looking at here, 160 152 million, this is 2022, not 2020. So if you are saying it is a 2020 program, so meaning the 160 million will now move this committee to start questioning where the 152 million went. So maybe if you can guide this committee, like Honorable Ricardo Mfalali has said, that bring us to speed to 2022 programs.
Thank you. Director Islip, you can proceed. We'll make some progress.
Thank you, Chair. The figure of 100 and...
Please speak through the mic. You can pull it so that, yeah, please, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The figure of 762,470 million is for the whole program and not just stocking and restocking. There are various other programs that the program, various other activities that the program implements, such as forage production and utilization training, rangeland improvement, and as well as disease control activities. So as for the figure that was spent on procurement of livestock in the year 2021, unfortunately I don't have that on my fingertips, but for the number I can say that 1,774 persons, livestock persons, were made in the year 2022. I submit, Chair.
You're very difficult. Yes, Auditor General, maybe you can clarify on those figures before we proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The auditors on the ground at the end of that exercise, they produced what we call a management letter. And that figure is still the same, indicating that the target was 28 and they only managed 22. We submitted that management letter to management. They did not comment on that figure. And then we issued a draft audit reference paragraph, which still had the same figure of the target 28 and only managing 22,000 households. So I'm not sure why my colleague is saying those figures are not correct, because an opportunity was given to management to confirm the accuracy of the figures. However, if the figures are as the management for the project have indicated, we can confirm those figures again. I submit.
Thank you, Auditor General, for that clarification. I think Coordinator Islip, I don't know why you should come with a new submission here, because first and foremost you have an opportunity. PS, there's a period when Auditor General is at your office, you can make clarifications, but if you come to dispute these figures, and again, you've made a submission as a minister, okay, and you have given chance. As we are not a group of auditors in this committee, no, we are members of parliament who provide oversight to the government, as it were, and those processes, we understand them. So if you have a chance to rebut, was during your audit process, When you said, okay, come and look at this, this is a target we have, this is what transpired. But if you come and tell us in this committee to say, no, actually, what was the target is this and what we've done is this, then you want government to spend much more money to go back to do verifications when you were supposed to have provided that information during the audit process before they escalate some of these queries to a DAP. I think that's not prudent, PS, through you, because we have got processes and we need to mitigate some of these issues as moving forward. That's why all these, if you look even at your submission, no, they can be verified, they should come and verify. Come on, let's doing audit twice. While information, government has the best filing system, if not to keep information. And I don't know why we should be losing information. It's incompetence of people discharged with such function. Just to say least. Honorable colleagues, we make progress. Honorable Lumai.
Mr. Chairman, maybe under 5 seconds. I just want to know, why did the ministry choose not to give response to this query? Because there's no response, Mr. Chairman, to this query. And the Auditor General is saying at every stage, they didn't want to respond to this query. So I just want to understand why they chose not to respond.
PS, you can proceed, then we make progress.
Thank you very much, honorable members. My understanding of where the PC has just submitted in terms of the numbers of the households is that that was a statement of fact. This is what it was. And then the actual queries, and I stand guided here, the actual queries are under component 1, the failure to vaccinate. And there's a second one. The failure to vaccinate and failure to construct water points. That is how the ministry took it. Could have been again, huh?
Let's make progress. We'll make progress, honorable colleagues. Yes, honorable. PS, you can switch off the mic. Yes, honorable Mfara.
I think, Chair, the question, we have the Auditor General's report in full, actually, as a committee, and we go through that report. And one thing also is we interact with people on some of these matters that are being raised here, including the same e-slip project. You might the controlling officer could think maybe why are we getting interested in this? These are some of the reasons. And right now, the annual report of 2022 actually is very categorical. It gives the figures as they stand. I don't know where your director is or the coordinator is getting the other figures, because the figures that are given is 3120, 14584, and 4880. When you add these figures, they will give you 22,584. So I don't know where he's getting those figures telling us that he's now gone up to 31,000. If it was not reported in the annual report and it's outside this, then it must not even be brought here. Otherwise, I think we are interested in understanding the operations of e-slip. We are aware of what is happening at e-slip.
Thank you. PS, you can quickly respond to that in summary, then we make progress, honorable colleagues.
Honorable members, I think I can just say that from my office as the controlling officer, I'll look at these figures again and do the reconciliation.
Thank you, PS, for that, though that is not an answer for us. But to proceed, honorable colleagues, I think we need to adjourn We'll resume our meeting at 2:30 to come and finish up these questions. PS and your team, let me take this opportunity to lift this immunity conferred before you, that you proceed for lunch, and we'll see you back here at 2:30 sharp. Thank you so much.
Tired, broken, innocence stolen, and I know I'm a different man. See, life hits and life hurts. Think I've seen some of life's worst, but you've been here, so you understand. See, I fell and I broke something, but I couldn't tell, 'cause I kept running away from your love and grace. So my trips and my pains, my failures, they only made me desperate to seek your face. Yeah. The devil hoped this injury would make me stop and take defeat, but I know Jesus walks with me, so I'll just keep on walking with my limp. 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 I'm imperfect, so I slipped up and I had my heart ripped up, but you're the lifter of my head. So please come and please heal how I think and how I feel, and I'll live by what you said. And you said, heavy laden, come to me, the sick, the flawed, the lame, the weak, and I'll be everything you need. So I'll just keep on walking with my limp. 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 Hey, limps are every weakness, limps are every flaw that keeps us from having an otherwise perfect walk. And we were born handicapped, but God gives us strength back, and all that you lack, if you just keep on walking with your pursue you, my victory. 'Cause when they beat you, you look just like me. You were struggling, but your passion and your love, it kept you walking with you. Calvary walking with you. No matter what they said, you kept walking with you. Yeah, that's my Savior with his lamb. Just So one day I could walk with my limp, and I can still be loved even with my limp, and I can still be used even with my limp, and I can still be saved even with my limp. Oh, so I'll just keep on walking with my limp.
Ms. Kambamba Mlenga is Kalulushi Member of Parliament on the Copper Belt under the Patriotic Front Party. She sits on the House Business Committee and Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism. She is a force to reckon with and is determined to see to it that Kalulushi constituency is fully developed.
Basically, I'm coming from just an ordinary family. My father's name, who is late, Eshem Mlenga, and my mother's name, who's still alive, is Frida Mlenga. Both my parents are coming from a business background, and we grew up on a farm on the Copper Belt, a place called Gunnarton. That's where my childhood remains are. And basically, coming from a Catholic background, I went to a Catholic nursery school, I went to a Catholic secondary school, and then I did my primary school there also at St. John's Convent. Then my secondary school, I did it at Ibenga. Then I graduated from secondary. I went into college. I went into South Africa, then came back. I did my bachelor's degree in business administration. And I also did, because I'm very keen in communities, so I took up global health. So I did also a course in global health.
She attributes her character to the Catholic schools she attended.
I actually remain so indebted, and even after so many years of leaving the Catholic schools, I still have this relationship with them. Just a few months ago, I was invited at Ibenga, which they do most of the time, you know, to have a talk with, you know, the students that were graduating, and I attend most of their functions, because really basically who I am, who they, you know, we were in boarding for a very long time, so really our character was defined by the people that we lived with the longer time, who were the sisters at the convent. So really a huge part of my character has been defined by them, you know.
Being brought up in an extended family helped her appreciate other family members regardless of their background.
I'm coming from an extraordinary family. We, back in the days, we lived with so many people, you know, who I've always considered as my brothers and sisters. So normally when people ask me, how many are you in your family, I would say we're 24, because this is the family that I've known, you know. And what I learned over time is that they don't normally have to be your blood, but it's a relationship that you've shared with them over the years. So I have 24 siblings.
Miss Mlenga glows as she talks about her three sons who have been her source of strength.
I have 3 wonderful boys. 2 of my boys are in the United States. My youngest boy is in boarding. He's at a school called Trident in Solwezi. So I'm surrounded by very good men. So you can see my face is lit up all the time. I think nobody will love you as much as your boys. I think they've been my source of strength, my pillar. They've been my biggest cheerleader. No one will cheer you as much as, you know, your own boys will do. You know, like for my boys, the 2 of them that are in America. Funny enough, even so many years of them being away, you know, in school, we speak every night. Every night, every night we speak, you know, and they're just awesome, and they're my source of strength. They make me work harder, and the more they cheer me, the more I try harder.
The late 5th President, Mr. Michael Chilufya-Sata, inspired her to join politics, as she narrates.
2001, my mother, who lives in Riverside, at that time her immediate neighbor was Mrs. Sata, who was a sister-in-law to the late president. So those were close family friends of ours. So when President Sata started his politics, you know, we took it up. Personally, he inspired me because I thought that every, you know, the stories, we were young then, but the stories would hear like my aunt tells this very funny story of how she used to work at the Ministry of Health. She was a nurse at Kitwe Central Hospital. And then President Sata came, you know, and she wasn't on time. And that time he was trying to fire everybody that came late. So up to today, my aunt, who's still a nurse, has never been late, you know. And so we're cheering because she had this attitude of going to work, fiamo boma, you know, nobody, whatever. So he just, his character just inspired me. He's the sort that wanted things to move, you know.
And from there, that's how I just took up. I said, you know, I think this is a credible man that we should start. So I started my political career very, 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 very young, you know. So we started pushing from that time.
Ms. Mulenga talks about how she was discouraged to join politics, but was determined to never give up.
First and foremost, my mother would plead with me of how I would get beaten up, I would get arrested. It's just not for women. You're too young. You know, you have so many things you could do, and you know. But then at the end of the day, I could see her cheering. You know, even in the background. And yes, it's tough. You know, when I started politics, I was very young, very tiny. I just blew up over the years. I was very tiny, and of course, you get a lot of resistance, especially from the men, especially when you're young and you're female. They'll say, look, this is not your place. And society really has this ad hoc that when you're young, you cannot take or you cannot sit on the table of elders. So you face a lot of resistance. But what I would tell somebody when I look at all the years, you know, to where I am today, you just need to keep pushing. Believe you me, if you're seated at a table of 10, even you just need one person to believe in you. You don't need the whole 10 people to believe in you. But most importantly, you have to believe in yourself. You know, there'll always be critics, and most of us as human beings fail because we hear the critical voice, you know, and we say, look, this is what everybody thinks. I mean, you don't have to be in a crowd of critics. And really, for me, I encourage myself, especially in my political journey, is what will God say at the end of the day? If God says it is okay, you have to speak to God. Speak to Him. Go in the closet and speak to Him. He will give you the final say. If you feel God is comfortable with the situation, for me, that's it, you know. I could have thousands of words coming from different avenues, different critics. It doesn't really matter. And, you know, today I encourage myself, and I'm seated here because I didn't listen. I can imagine if I sat back and listened, I wouldn't have come through this journey that, you know, the story that I'm telling today.
She now describes her political journey, rising through the ranks from a district commissioner, member of parliament, to a cabinet minister.
My political journey, I started from the ward. I served at ward level. I served at constituency level. So I've only belonged to the Patriotic Front. I've only been a PF member. In 2010, finally, the PF were having elections. And I got elected as the first district chairperson, female, very young at that time. And it was so funny because I remember then Guy Scott, Winter Kavimba, they had come to Kalulushi and they were all begging me, please don't stand, you're too young. What if you lose the election? And I said, no, I'm going to stand. And I did stand. So 2011, we did win the election. And I got appointed as one of the youngest district commissioners. So from there, I rose in 2016. President Edgar Lungu, of course, who I'm indebted to also, gave me an opportunity to stand as Member of Parliament in my constituency, Kalulushi. And of course, 2021, I was given an opportunity. And funny, really, really funny. For the many years that I've been Member of Parliament on the Copper Belt, I've only been the only female Member of Parliament. Can you imagine how sad it's been, how we have not supported the women? You know, we have 22 constituencies, and every time we've had elections, I've only been the only one, you know, going through. And maybe this is a message and a platform that I would want to speak to the women, that, you know, we need to support each other. We don't have to stamp on each other's toes. It's the men we're supposed to be after, not the women. As a woman, so first and foremost, I just got into, I mean, it's the other side of politics, away from, you know, the grassroots politics. I didn't even know that President Lungu was going to appoint me as Minister of Information. And I wasn't even in the country at that time, you know, and The most unfortunate thing was my phone was off. So people were trying to call me, and I think after maybe a good 6 hours, you know, when I turned my phone, I got all these messages, all these horrible things people were saying. You know, of course, some people were happy, and of course, this, that, and that, and that. And, you know, for a moment, I said, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't even get this position. Oh, my God, this is too much for me, you know. And I'm very lucky that at that time I was with a friend of mine that encouraged me, you know. Again, this is what I want to speak to the woman. The critics will always be there for one reason, just to bring you down. They'll say the most nastiest things. And I mean, no one was ever born with the intellect that is needed. We learn. I did serve at the Ministry of Information. Then I was moved to Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. And then my last portfolio was Ministry of Community Development, which was more like me because it gave me an opportunity to interact, especially with the most vulnerable.
Ms. Mulenga is always indebted to all those that support her.
I come from a very extraordinary family. I have a huge support system, not just only from my husband or from my children or from my parents, from extended family, you know, who have always looked out for my space to make sure I'm okay and just encourage me. And also the other very big support system has been the church for me. You know, I'm a very committed Catholic. So, and having, you know, been educated by the Catholics, so I have this relationship. I have the relation with most of the priests, the bishop, the nuns. So they constantly remind me of this little girl that just blossomed and keep pushing. And you never believe it, their words really mean so much to me, you know, because sometimes you'll be in a very low spirit, you just open up your WhatsApp message, here is somebody that is miles away and just reminding you of how beautiful a person you are. And then also, my other biggest support system has been my cadres, you know, who turned into family. Most of them are family. I can never ever thank them enough, and indeed, family does not always have to be blood, you know.
Ms. Mulenga is passionate about her businesses. That's what keeps her busy when she's not doing parliamentary work.
My mother and father are coming from a business background, and so we have family businesses, and I have my own businesses. I do a lot of farming, and I'm also a contractor. I believe in pushing. They say if you want the fine things of life, you have to push. So most of the time away from parliament, I'm doing my own business, you know. I mean, it's not easy, you know, looking after 3 boys, you know. So I have my own business that I do, and I also do some family business because my dad left us some family business. My mother grew old, obviously, over time. Sometimes she can't make the right decision. And my other brothers are also, I mean, everyone grew up. So my other siblings are also outside the country. So you have to create that platform so that the family business doesn't die. So really my biggest hobby, because of limited time, is doing business, looking for new avenues of making money. Of course, the right way.
She has a word of advice to women who want to join politics.
They will tell you it's not your place in society. They will call you all sorts of names. My brother always reminds me that diamonds come from the harshest of places, but the most precious of stones. You're beautiful, you're intelligent, you've got to fight for what you believe in. You've got to step out and take that position. If you don't do it, there will be no cheerleader. And to this beautiful woman that I'm speaking to, you yourself has to be the biggest cheerleader. Even in the midst of the night when I'm all alone and I feel like crying and breaking down, I know I will not pick up the call or nobody will come. You have to be that cheerleader. Politics is not dirty. It's the perception that people have created. Very bad people have created this perception to keep you away from your dreams. So arise and stand up.
Ms. Kampamba Mulenga believes women have what it takes to be a leader as long as they are determined.
Governance, transparency, and accountability are one of the major tools that enable any institution to thrive in national planning and budgeting. It is for this reason that the National Assembly of Zambia launched the Public Financial Management Handbook and unveiled the office building for the Parliamentary Budget Office on plot number 20 Kwacha Road, Olympia Park. The launch took place at Parliament Buildings in Lusaka on 14th November 2023. Speaker of the National Assembly, the Right Honorable Ms. Ned B.K. Muti, MP Fapra, appreciated the support that stakeholders have been rendering to the institution and expressed gratitude to the media for covering the work of the National Assembly.
It is a great honor and privilege for me to officiate at the launch of the revised Public Finance Management Handbook and unveiling of the office building for the Parliamentary Budget Office. Let me take advantage of this occasion to appreciate the support that stakeholders that are with us this morning have been rendering to the National Assembly of Zambia in performing its representative, legislative, and oversight functions. I further wish to thank the media for covering the work of the National Assembly in the House, in the committees, and other functions such as this one. You are true partners in the agenda of enhancing good governance in our beloved country, Zambia.
Madam Speaker also expressed gratitude to all stakeholders, academia, civil society organizations, and professional bodies for validating the material of the handbook.
I want to assure all stakeholders present here that the National Assembly of Zambia looks forward to playing its role to implement the strategy under the governance, transparency, and accountability strategic theme. The handbook being launched today will be a toolkit for members of parliament and staff of the National Assembly. It will also serve as a self-training manual for members of parliament and staff of the National Assembly on issues relevant to their specific functions. The main role of the Parliamentary Budget Office is to provide technical support to parliamentary committees in an objective, non-partisan, accurate, and timely manner. May I take this opportunity to urge the honorable members and chairpersons of committees to utilize the services of this office. I am happy to inform you that since the establishment of the Parliamentary Budget Office, several successes have been recorded, which include but not limited to the following. 1. Capacity enhancement of both members of Parliament and staff in various aspects to enable them execute their budget oversight functions effectively. 2. Providing technical support to various parliamentary committees in matters relating to the economy, the national budget, public finance management in general. And 3rd, piloting of sector budget analysis for various parliamentary committees. And 4th, publication of the first and second editions of the PFM handbook.
Clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Ngulube, reiterated the mandate of the handbook.
The purpose, Madam Speaker, of the handbook and invited guests was to serve as a toolkit for the strengthening of the National Assembly of Zambia in the performance of its oversight function or mandate in public financial management. It also provides a comprehensive introduction to the concepts, objectives, and scope of the public financial management and serves as a reference and self-training manual for members of parliament and staff of the National Assembly of Zambia on public finance management related issues. Due to a number of developments, Madam Speaker, in the area of public financial management, such as the enactment of the National Planning and Budgeting Act, the Public Debt Management Act, amongst other developments, there was need to update the handbook to reflect the changed landscape. The revision was therefore carried out Like I indicated, Madam Speaker, with the auspices of the EU support to the National Assembly of Zambia Phase 2 project. After the launch, Madam Speaker, this morning, the handbook will be accessible through the parliamentary website. On behalf of management, I would like to urge all our participants and members of the public to take advantage of this to access not only this publication, but various other publications on our website.
The chairperson of Planning and Budgeting Committee, Honorable Fred Chatila, MP, encouraged members to make use of the handbook.
The handbook provides valuable insights and guidance in navigating the complexities of public financial management. The Parliamentary Budget Office has always been on hand to render technical support, not just in committee meetings, but also at important gatherings on the budget and the economy. And also the handbook will therefore remain a key reference material for parliamentarians beyond the current National Assembly. I want to thank you